Hello, everyone. I'm Geoff Johansing. I run the risk advisor team and also the branch office in Pasadena for Insurance Office of America. And I'm here to further dive into my theory of happy employees and what they do for your company. I have here today Cindy Flynn. She is a founding partner of Hackler, Flynn Associates. They are a law firm with an office in Los Angeles and Orange County, focusing on employment practice issues, representing the employer. Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Geoff.
How are
Thank
you?
you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So I got a few questions I'd like to run through with you. And the first one is, for a company, what would you define as a company's greatest asset?
It's really their employees. But on the contrary, employees can also be a company's worst nightmare. And so I think it's very valuable to put a lot of time and energy and education into your employees and ensure that they're a good fit for the company and the company culture.
And can you give some examples of where you think, how do you tell? How do you tell if an employee is a good fit? Or is it the hiring practice, for example? Let's go into that. I think that's an area where a lot of employers could enhance what they're doing or learn new tricks.
Sure.
What are your thoughts with regards to hiring practices and how do you get the right people on board?
So my motto with hiring is hire slow and fire fast.
I love that motto.
Yes. And come up with a 10-step process in hiring and, set clear expectations in your job posting, have a clear way that the candidate can contact you, and envision what that looks like. As you're going through the process, you're screening them and making sure that it's a good fit. I would suggest, doing some sort of personality test, such as the DISC test along the way. I would also suggest giving them a performance test to see how they do, how they work under pressure, whether there are typos, things like that. You may or may not need to pay them for that. And having your entire staff, if you're in a small office, you want to make sure that everyone buys into that new employee. And so I think including them in on the hiring process can be valuable.
Okay, a lot of my clients are in the middle market arena. So let's say you've got 100 employees. You're not going to have, would you just recommend maybe the leaders of whatever department, or where would you see that in the larger employer when you're not able to have them engage with the full team?
Sure. So in addition to having, clearly that person's boss interview, I would suggest the people that they're going to be working with as well. So if it's, for instance, a new attorney associate who's going to be starting, have the person who's going to be their legal secretary also speak to them. Have even the receptionist speak to them if they're going to be greeting that person every day. Have other attorneys that they're going to be working on similar cases with also interview. It's good to come up with 5 or 6 other people in the office who will be working closely with that person, also buy in the interview process.
Another thing we talked about is reference checks. So I know you agree with them. What are some things that an employer can or cannot tell someone with regards to a reference check, which is not just, what can't you say if you are giving a reference?
So if you're giving a reference and it's someone that you would probably never hire again or ever want to speak with again, and it's not going to be a good reference, I think the safest thing to do would be to say very little to nothing. This is not an opportunity for you to talk for a long time about how terrible that person was and what a pain they were in working with. I would just keep it very short, very sweet, and very to the point of yes, no question, answers.
So now we know that if we have someone on the other line when we're asking for a reference and they're doing that, I've experienced the same thing, that maybe it's not a good fit for the company. Okay. So let's, another conversation I'd like to have, or question, is with regards to positive and negative feedback. Not negative, but good feedback and constructive feedback. Where are you at on that? How can we implement that?
Well, again, I think it comes back to like having clarity with your employees and clear, KPIs so they know what they're measuring against.
Okay.
If you do have to give some sort of, constructive criticism along the way, a common way to do it would be the sandwich effect, where you give the employee good feedback, something to work on, not so good feedback, and then again, end with good feedback.
All right. And that's a good way to pull in.
Yeah.
And then do you find many employers do one-to-ones with their direct reports, where they're meeting with people that report to them and just filling them in on a regular basis, be it monthly, weekly, or what have you?
Yeah, I would suggest, a weekly check-in at least with your staff. Something common is like a daily huddle where in the morning you can gather everybody into the office and do a small workspace. You stand around, you don't even sit down for this. It's just a huddle. And you go around and say, okay, something you're going to work on today, something you're excited about, good news, something like that. And then if anyone's having a stumbling block, that way, after the huddle, it's 2 words a person. It can go pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if someone is having trouble, you can address it right there first thing in the morning so that they overcome that stumbling block early on.
Another team building opportunity also.
Exactly. I think team building is an excellent way to bring people together, involve them, and really, grow company culture.
Okay.
A book actually I was going to recommend is called Traction by Gino Wickman.
Okay.
And it's basically gives you a list in the beginning of the book of where you are. So it's a report card of how your company currently is.
Okay.
And then throughout the book, it gives you very hands-on tools and what to implement throughout. And then you get to grade yourself again at the end.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is, again, Cindy Flynn, founding partner of Hackler, Flynn Associates, a law firm focusing on employment practices issues.
Thank you, Geoff.
You're welcome.